Okay, one last thing I want to note down that I'd really like to talk about is emotional hypersensitivity. And I think that can also extend to noise sensitivity. And I think I find this really hard, particularly for friends and family to understand, is when someone's nervous system becomes so hypersensitized from this type of condition. I think the extent that someone becomes emotionally hypersensitive is beyond what a normal person can really wrap their head around. And the worst part is for people who are suffering the condition, this is actually the thing that winds them up and makes their condition worse. And I think people find that really, really hard to wrap their head around, that when I'm getting upset or when I'm getting anxious or, something's emotionally really thrown me, it's not just an old amount of upset. It's like a skewed, extreme reaction that just isn't normal for the average person. It's kind of like a post-traumatic stress response. That's the best way that I could try and explain it. And I think having people around you that understand this and are really sensitive to being consciously nice and emotionally aware people is really important in part of trying to recover and gain some improvement. So I find this was basically one of my main challenges, and getting the people that I live with and the people I have relationships with to understand is really a priority for me, but has been and is still like a major challenge. I understand that for most other people that's probably the case, and I really found that my condition was just getting worse and worse until I just said I can't do it anymore and cut certain people out and just had to isolate myself basically. It's a sad state of affairs, but that's the only way that I found I could cope. But if we could get a bit more awareness out there of these conditions and understanding this concept, I think hopefully people will keep intact their families and their friends and their social circles. If people can just understand, people need to be like just really careful and a bit understanding. It's a really hard one. People, from what I gather, call this kind of like the sickness psychology, which kind of annoys me a little bit. But unfortunately, we are sick and we need people around us who are supportive and emotionally sensitive. And that's just the way it is. So, I've tried doing the opposite and putting up with stuff, and all I did was get worse. So my advice to anyone out there would be to really surround yourself with emotionally supportive people. People are very emotionally conscious themselves of how they're feeling and behaving, and people that have patience, and people who are very gentle. I think a major issue that I've struggled with is people who are particularly very loud and aggressive. They may not think they're aggressive, but to me it's aggressive. And people who generally just aren't very thoughtful about how things might affect my emotions and my own personal hurt. So, because to me it's not just getting upset anymore, it's more than that, especially when you're isolated and you don't have work and other things to psychologically help you cope with whatever it is that's upset you. I think people really have a hard time wrapping their head around that. So look, I don't know what the answer is. That's what I've done, and I would love it if more people just had an awareness of this situation that exists with these conditions and was just a little bit more careful, so people had a chance to get better, and once we're better, it won't be an issue anymore. That, or we just have to find people who are nice people to be around for the rest of our lives. I don't know what the answer is, but definitely when you're in a really bad state and you need some recovery and some time out, those are the types of people that you need to surround yourself with. And for anyone that doesn't have a choice with who they surround themselves with, I really hope your partners or friends or relatives who are living with you can try and learn some skills themselves to just being calm and centered and not getting in a state that really sets us off. Especially loud noises are just the worst. If someone's in a bad mood or upset, I can pick up on it before they even realize they're in a bad mood. So I really think that's part of the key of people who have our condition with their recovery is the people who are around them, supporting them in the best possible way. And that also includes doctors. You know, I've had doctors be absolute complete jerks, and maybe it's normal to them, but particularly when someone's sick and they're already emotionally upset about the fact that they can't work and they're unwell, you know, we don't need doctors being jerks. You know, like, you think that would be obvious, especially for a doctor, but sadly it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to lots of other people. So yes, if we can have medical practitioners, family and friends who are all very supportive and calm, emotionally conscious people, that would be just amazing. And luckily I've had enough people in my life that are like that to support me through this, but I really wish a lot more people understood. So hopefully this video helps anyone out there who's a partner, or if you are a doctor or a medical practitioner, in understanding that everything unfortunately is hypersensitized. But you know what? I see it as a challenge. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a more calm, rational, emotionally centered person. So it's a challenge, but good luck everyone on your journey. Okay.